Hello, my name is Luis Fuentes. Today I will present a strategic analysis of Apple Incorporated. This presentation examines the industry context, Apple's competitive position, and the company's current strategy. Uh, Also, a concise SWOT analysis, a clear strategic recommendation, and future scenarios with implementation steps and measurable KPIs. The purpose of this analysis is to identify high impact actions that protect margins, reduce operational risk, and accelerate recurring revenue. Over the next several minutes, I will walk you through evidence, strategic logic, and concrete next steps so you can decide whether to approve pilot investments and supplier commitments. Let's begin. First, we have agenda. First, I will provide an industry overview to set the competitive context and highlight the forces shaping the market. Second, I will present Apple's company profile and core capabilities. Third, I will evaluate Apple's current strategy and identify strengths and weaknesses. Fourth, I will synthesize those insights with concise SWOT. Fifth, I will propose recommendations that address the most material issues. Sixth, I will outline implementation steps and KPIs to measure success. Finally, I will present future scenarios and deliver a strategic verdict. I will spend extra time on recommendations and implementation because those are the decision points that require approval and resources. Apple competes worldwide with major Android manufacturers such as Samsung and Xiaomi, and with other consumer electronic firms that compete on price, features, or ecosystem services. Apple is a clear premium segment leader, commanding higher average selling prices and stronger margins than most rivals. Beyond hardware, Apple holds a strong position in services and wearables, which are increasingly important for recurring revenue and margin expansion. This premium positioning gives Apple pricing power and deep customer loyalty, but it also constrains volume growth in price-sensitive markets. That constraint makes expanding services and tailoring regional pricing essential to sustain growth without diluting the brand. Then we have industry products and revenue streams. The industry produces smartphones, tablets, laptops, and desktops, and wearables and accessories. Increasingly, revenue comes from digital services and subscriptions, as well as App Store and developer fees. Device sales remain the largest single source of revenue for many firms, but services and subscriptions are becoming a larger and more margin-rich portion of the industry revenue. Shifting the revenue mix toward recurring services improves predictability, reduces recurring tied to device refresh cycles, and increases lifetime value per customer. For strategic planning, this means prioritizing offerings that convert one-time buyers into recurring subscribers. Technological shifts. Two demographic trends matter using or rising smartphone adoption globally, especially in developing markets, and continued premium demand in developed markets. On the technology side, AI features are becoming central to product differentiation. Customer chips drive performance and energy efficiency, and there is a growing customer and regulatory focus on privacy and repairability. These shifts require Apple to balance premium innovation that justifies higher prices with region pricing and product strategies that capture growth in emerging markets while meeting new regulatory expectations and consumer demands for sustainability. Now we have critical success factors in the industry. To win in this business, companies need a few basic things, starting with great product design, followed by software that works smoothly with hardware, and a supply chain that delivers parts on time. They also need people to trust in the brand and a healthy group of app developers who keep the ecosystem useful. These pieces help each other. Good design makes people willing to pay more. Steady subscription income lets the company invest in new features, and a reliable supply chain keeps launches on schedule and protects margins. Apple is strong in many of these areas, but weaknesses in supply resilience and how easily devices are to repair create risks that should be fixed with focused, practical steps. First, we have strategic groups in industry. There are three strategic groups in the market: ultra premium ecosystem leaders, broad premium Android competitors, and value and volume players. Apple sits firmly in the ultra premium group, characterized by high average selling prices, strong margins, and deep customer loyalty. This placement creates a durable moat because ecosystem lock in and brand strength are hard to replicate. At the same time, being the ultra premium group requires a careful protection of ecosystem value while selectively expanding services and regional pricing to capture uh, incremental users without diluting the premium brand. Now we have competitive substitutes and adjacent industries. Competitive substitutes and nearby industries include streaming services, gaming platforms, cloud services, and other electronics. These options compete for the same extra money people spend each month and for their attention, so people must choose between upgrading devices or keeping subscriptions. For Apple, this means its bundles need to be more attractive than buying a single stream or gaming service on its own to win customers' money and keep them from leaving. This also means Apple should look at simple partnership and promotions across categories to make its bundles feel like a better deal than the alternatives. Next, we have key driving forces. The main forces shaping the industry are changing part prices, fast advances in AI and software, tougher rules from governments, and growing demand for subscriptions and greener products. When part prices jump, profits can shrink unless companies lock in prices or find other suppliers. Fast AI and software improvements give companies chances to add new features that make people want to upgrade. These new regulations can limit some ways to make money, but they also reward companies that meet higher standards early. The move towards subscriptions and sustainability is pushing customers to expect easier repairs and cleaner information about products live. The smart moves are to protect against supply shocks, speed up AI features that encourage upgrades, and build subscription and repair programs that respect privacy and environmental goals. Now we have company history and culture. Apple began on April 1st, 1976, when Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne teamed up in California. It started because Steve built a simple handmade computer called Apple One, and Jobs pushed to sell it, turning a hobby project into a real business. With early help and funding from Mike Markula, the company took off after the Apple II became a hit, moving Apple out of the garage and into a mainstream of personal computing. That early story shaped how Apple works today, which is a strong focus on clean, simple design that tight control of both hardware and software and carefully staged secretive product launches. Those habits helped Apple build a loyal customer base and charge premium prices at the same time. The same focus on perfection and controlled process can make the company slower to change. The challenge now is to keep what makes Apple special while getting faster and rolling out services, strengthening supply lines, and making devices easy to repair. We have missions and values. Apple's mission is to deliver the best user experience through integrated products and services. The company values quality and privacy, and its vision is a seamless device ecosystem that connects devices and apps. Apple also places a strong emphasis on accessibility, ensuring products work for a wider range of users. These elements underpin Apple's premium positioning and customer trust. Any new bundles, supplier arrangements, or repair programs must be framed to reinforce privacy and quality to preserve Apple's brand equity. Next, we have scope customers and distribution. Apple sells worldwide to customers, enterprise, and education customers. Distribution channels include Apple stores, online sales, and carrier and retail partnerships. Control over retail and direct customers relationships is strategic advance for piloting new services and repair programs because it allows Apple to manage the customer experience and end to end. Apple's large base of active users and extensive retail footprint provide a strong platform for testing and scaling new offerings before broader rollout throughout partners. Now we have product lines and strategic mix. Apple's main product lines are iPhone, services, Mac, iPad, and wearables. The iPhone remains the largest revenue source, while services are the fastest growing and most margin extraction segments. Wearables and accessories add incremental revenue and strengthen ecosystem engagement. Strategically, accelerating services is central to improving margins and reducing dependence on device refresh cycles because recurring revenue smooths cash flow and increases lifetime value per user. Next, we have value chain strengths and weaknesses. Apple strengths is uh, it includes designing its own chips, making software and hardware work smoothly together, and running high-end stores that boost the customer experience and the brand. On the flip side, Apple relies heavily on iPhone sales for revenue and is vulnerable when parts are uh, scarce or suppliers are concentrated. Those weaknesses make revenue swings bigger and increase the risk that product launches will be delayed. Fixing this means signing multi-year part contracts, adding more suppliers, and making devices easier to repair. Steps that will lower operational risk and help protect launch schedules and profit margins. Now we have five forces applied to Apple. Using Porter's five forces, buyers have only moderate power because many people stick with Apple's ecosystem and face switching costs. Suppliers can be strong when parts are specialized, like advanced chips and displays. New companies have a low chance of entering the market because it takes scale, an ecosystem, and lots of money. Substitutes are a moderate threat from related services and devices. And competition among big firms is fierce, driven by fast product updates and heavy marketing. These conditions mean Apple should widen its lead by growing services, making its supply chain stronger, and keeping products clearly different from their rivals. Now we have a resource-based view and core capabilities. From a resource view, Apple's main strengths are great design, a tightly linked ecosystem, its own special tech like custom chips, and trusted global brand. These strengths are valuable, rare, and hard for rivals to copy, and they give Apple a lasting edge. Strategically, Apple should use these assets to build unique service bundles and AI features that other companies can't easily match. Doing that will help protect profit margins and encourage customers to upgrade more often. Now we have financial and non-financial performance overview. Apple makes strong profits and brings in steady cash, which lets it return money to shareholders on a regular basis. Beyond the numbers, Apple also enjoys high customer satisfaction and a busy developer community that keeps the ecosystem useful and growing. Because the company has a healthy balance sheet, it can sign multi-year part contracts and fund pilot projects for services and repairs without risking other priorities. Those financial and non-financial strengths mean recommended investments are both realistic and sensible. Now we have our SWOT summary. Apple's strengths include a powerful brand, a tightly connected ecosystem, standout design, and large cash reserves. Its weak spots are heavily reliance on device upgrade cycles and sensitivity to high prices. Big opportunities lie in areas like AI, AR, and VR, and growing services that can bring in steady subscription income. Major threats are tougher regulation, rising parts costs, and stronger competition. The recommended actions uh, Apple's core strengths and turn them into more predictable revenue while directly tackling the biggest weakness and its risks. Now we have recommendations and strategic actions. I recommend three strategic actions. First, speed up services bundling and offer region-specific pricing tiers to grow subscriptions and raise average revenue per user. Second, lock in long-term parts contracts and broaden the supplier base to cut costs, reduce lead times, and protect product launch schedules. Third, roll out modular repair and sustainability programs to meet regulatory expectations, build customer trust, and capture repair revenue. Together, these steps will boost recurring income, lower operational risk, and strengthen consumer loyalty while staying true to Apple's commitment to quality and privacy. Now we have recommendations, implementation, and KPIs. Uh, Pilot the bundle service packages in two regions with 6 months to test pricing, packaging, and conversion. At the same time, negotiate and sign multi-year part contracts right away for critical components and bring secondary suppliers online to cut single source risk. Run a modular repair pilot in flagship stores with 9 months to test the repair process, parts logistics, and customer demand. Track KPIs such as services revenue growth and ARPU margin improvement, repair adoption rates, and customer satisfaction measured by NPS. Assign clear owners for services, supply chain, and retail. Review progress monthly and set a 6-month decision point to scale any pilots that prove successful. Next, we have future scenarios. Consider these 3 scenarios. The best case scenario, AI, and new services drive faster upgrade cycles and materially raise margins. Mid-base case scenario, steady device sales with gradual services growth and manageable costs. The worst case scenario is prolonged part shortages and regulatory fines, compress profits, and slow product rollouts. Finally, for our conclusion, Apple's strong ecosystem design and brand give it a durable edge, but its heavy reliance on device upgrade cycles and exposure to supply and regulatory risks mean action is needed now. Our recommendation is clear, which is move faster on service bundles, lock down the supply chain with multi-year contracts and more suppliers, and expand repairability and sustainability programs. Those steps will protect profits, cut optional risk, and help keep Apple's long-term advantages intact.